Hello everybody and welcome to the end of year video. So I think it's fair to say that 2020 has been a year. That's something we can all say. But hey, anime has kept on keeping on, except for, that period when it wasn't really, and there wasn't a lot coming out at all. But that's besides the point. We've actually had some half-decent shows this year. I wouldn't say it's been a standout year, except for, Demon Slayer breaking records and all that. But that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about movies today. We're here to talk about the series. And all the series that I watched this year, obviously, that came out this year. I obviously watched stuff, old stuff as well. But this year, the stuff I watched, everything ranked from worst to best. So, first rule. Attack on Titan isn't on here because it's been on for 4 episodes, and that doesn't seem fair. I don't feel like it should be alongside the finished or at least half-finished shows that I've seen this season. It'll be in next year's, so come back in a year if you want to see Attack on Titan, I guess. Second rule, had to have started this year. So if something started in full 2019 and then continued on into 2020, it's not on here, I'm afraid, because it was on last year's list. And I don't want to repeat myself, basically. But there are some. Third rule. This is actually kind of important. Third rule. This is my opinion, and yes, I know my taste sucks. Thank you for asking. Fourth rule, or not fourth rule, but fourth statement, I guess. I've not seen every anime this year. In fact, if something isn't on this list, I haven't seen it. If you think I missed something really, really good after watching this video, please let me know. Like, hey man, you haven't seen this show? This show's really good. And don't put, like, Boku no Pico, because I'm not an idiot. I know what you're getting at. But yeah, without further ado, I think that's all the rules. So, should we just get to the list? Should we? I watched 35 shows this year. I counted them up, which is less than I watched last year. 2019, I watched 50. So, that was a nice round number. 35 is pretty round, it's got a lot of curves on it. But besides that, let's get into this with number 35. So number 35 is from January, I believe. Seton Academy joined the pack. And just because I've said that now, I'm going to say, unlike last year, I watched a lot of stuff I really didn't enjoy last year. Everything I watched this year, I enjoyed at least a little bit. So even this stuff at the bottom end, I had fun with watching it. Seton Academy joined the pack. What this was about, it was like a school, and there was like humans and animals, but the animals were of course humanoid and animal girls and all that. And he became friends with this little wolf girl lolly. I say friends. He's like a racist. He hates animals, but he ends up being in a club with them all, and they just have shenanigans and good times and stuff. He's probably the worst part of the show because he's such an asshole. But yeah, the reason it's at the bottom is because I forgot about it, to be honest. I was looking through my list and I was like, oh yeah, that was a show. I remember when I watched it, it was just kind of there. I struggled to have an opinion on it. I watched it every week. I don't remember why I watched it every week, but I think I had fun watching it. Even though it's at the bottom of this list, it just, I guess, didn't have much substance to it. From what I remember, because I can't remember a lot, and that says a lot, quite frankly. But yeah, it was also January, so that was a long time ago. So that was the good old days before things went to hell. Feels weird. January does a lot of the stuff that come out in January have escaped my memory because boy, a lot happened in 2020 since then. But yeah, Seton Academy. Someone had to be at the bottom, and despite the fact I didn't hate this show, it's at the bottom, I'm afraid. Number 34. Now this might surprise some people because unlike Seton Academy, right? Who very few people knew of that or anything to do with it. Number 34 is The Day I Became a God. Yes, the Jun Maeda show. Jun Maeda, if you are not familiar, I believe he wrote Clannad. I think he wrote like Air and Canon, all the other visual Little Busters as well as another one, and of course Angel Beats and Charlotte. Now The Day I Became a God, I hated the ending. I'm going to be honest. Maybe this is too low, and it's just because it only finished the other day that I'm angry about it still. But God, the ending, I've not been so insulted in a while by an ending. So many just jumps in logic. I should probably say what the show's about. So we have this dude, I think his name was Yota. He's the main character, and this girl called Hina who shows up one day in like nun's clothing and says that she's a god and she's got super predictive abilities. And basically the first half or so of the show is like this slice of life, you know, everybody's getting on. You've seen like Charlotte or Clan, Charlotte or Clan and everything, you know, the formula. Starts out all nice and, you know, fun times, and then it gets a bit serious towards the end. Except in this case, the serious stuff, it comes pretty goddamn out of nowhere, and like it feels almost like two completely separate shows. Like the transition isn't very good. But like I said, that wasn't even my biggest problem. My biggest problem is literally just the ending. Like almost everything they did with the ending ruined the show in my eyes. Side characters got about an episode each to, for them. But when you came down to it, everyone became a side character, and Yota was just. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan. You know, I tried my best with it. I really did. I wanted to like it because I actually like Charlotte, and like I've read a lot of people don't like Charlotte. I like Charlotte, so. But this is a lot. This is the worst one of Jun Maeda's shows that I have seen. I've only seen Clownhead, Charlotte, Angel Beats, and this is the worst by some distance. And I was very disappointed. I had expectations, and I was a bit gutted. I was very gutted actually coming out of it. Made me sad, but not sad at the show. Sad because, oh man, I felt like I'd wasted my time, honestly, and that's never a feeling you want to have. Number 33 is Our Last Crusade, or The Rise of a New World. So now this is probably the most average show I saw this season, and by average I mean, you know, generic's a better word. Generic, plain Jane, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. They're like on opposing factions in this war, because one of them are like magic people, and the other's like this empire who doesn't like the magic people. They're like witches to them. And they've been fighting this war for generations, so to speak. And then the main dude, Iska is his name, he meets Alice, who is main lady from the other side, the magic side. And then they, you know how Romeo and Juliet wrote. They like each other, but they like, because it's anime, they're not allowed to realize they like each other. So, you know, it's a lot of tsundere-ness going on. As I said, very plain, very generic. I had fun watching it. It is absolutely just, I'm going to turn my brain off and just popcorn this, you know. If I think about it, I'm going to realize all the mistakes, all the problems with it. But, you know, and that's why it's so low, because it is very generic, very plain Jane. But sometimes you just got to watch that, and that's honestly what I thought watching it. Honestly, I had a lot of fun when the two leads were together, but they were separated a lot. And pretty much every other character was just there, you know. They didn't have anything to them except the maid. The maid was cool. She did some stuff sometimes, but yeah, everyone else was a bit meh. So I think that's why it's so low. I did enjoy it. As I said, everything I enjoyed. Maybe that's because my taste is getting worse. Who knows? But yeah, I had fun with this. This was fun, but not. I wouldn't even call it good. I'd call it very average at best. Number 32 is Nekopara. Yes, I forgot Nekopara came out this year as well. Nekopara, the anime anyway, obviously they had the visual novel. If you aren't familiar with Nekopara, basically, it's cat girls helping run a bakery. Oh, it's a dude who runs a bakery and he has the cat girls working as waitresses. Now, if you are familiar with the Nekopara visual novels and not the anime, they're not at all the same. The visual novels are very, what's a good, lewd? Lewd's a good word. You know what you're getting into. They're eroges with cat girls. I'm just going to tell you what it is. The anime though, you'd think they'd go for something like maybe like To Love Ru, where it's like, oh, you know, fan service all over the place, that kind of thing. No, the anime went, I want to say wholesome. Wholesome might be the wrong word, but like the lewdest it got, I think there was a bath scene in one episode, you know. And it wasn't even like a weird bath scene, it was just a regular, they're having a bath, you know, there was no groping or nothing. And so yeah, it was mostly just cat girls doing adorable cat girl things, which was kind of weird, you know. It's so low because it wasn't great, I'm going to be honest, but, you know, it was nice to see, you know, it is just a Nekopara anime, and, you know, but once that wears off, it's just a bit meh, innit? But I had fun with it. I still had fun with it. The actual plot of the anime, there's a new little cat girl. She has green hair and I've forgotten her name. She's not in the visual novel. She's like an anime original. So it's sort of an anime original story. Yeah, it was all right. Basically, I don't have much to add on it really. Again, a lot of these earlier ones, sorry, it was there. You know, as I said, because I'm not super negative on them. they were just kind of there. Nekopara, it was fine. It wasn't really what I was expecting. I was expecting a Nekopara anime to lean into the lewd reputation it had, but it didn't. So, was that for the best, or, you know, I don't know. But it was fine, I guess. I had an enjoyable time watching it, but if you asked me to name any specific thing that happened, I wouldn't be able to. So that's why it's this low. Number 31 is Diary of Our Days at the Breakwater. So what this show is, it's cute girls do fishing. I don't have much else to add on that. That is the show in a nutshell. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. Maybe it's one of those things where like cute girls do things. It's like cute girls can make you want to do anything. Last year it was the dumbbells, the weightlifting, the working out, exercise. This year it was fishing, and they were just talking about like, man, I want to do fishing. Fishing's cool. Like, I've never been fishing, but now I want to do fishing. So I don't have much else to add on this. It was just a nice, relaxing time. It did get delayed, I remember, at one point because of, you know, the pandemic. But when it come back, it just carried right along. Did some fishing. It was fine. I feel like I'm struggling to think of things to say for this one because it was just cute girls do fishing. These kind of shows are really hard to talk about because, you know, how do you explain the appeal? It's just cute girls do fishing. I guess we'll move on. I don't have much to add. It was fine, but maybe not my cup of tea. Did it get boring at points? Maybe, but you know, these kinds of shows, I think they all get boring after a while. It was still alright though, you know. Not gonna say it was terrible. It was fine. If you like fishing, maybe they annoyed you because they were saying the wrong things. I don't know. As I said, never been fishing. Number 30 is Warlords of Sigurdrifa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This show was written by the guy who wrote ReZero. So, you know, I feel like that actually might have hurt this show in the long run though, to be honest, because it's very tonally different to ReZero. ReZero, I think we are all aware, suffering incarnate, right? This show is not quite that. There's the first half, it's similar to Day I Became a God actually, but not nowhere near as bad. The first half, it's kind of slice of lifey. It's the girls having fun. Oh, I should probably explain the plot. Basically, there's giant pillars that have shown up on Earth. They're like aliens or mythical beasts that have shown up and they're going to wipe out humanity. The only way they can stop them is using Odin's power, the god Odin, Norse mythology, and he gives these girls power. They make them Valkyries, and they fly these special planes and have special Valkyrie powers in the planes to help fight the pillars. Now I know what you're thinking, that sounds really cool. That does sound really cool. Execution could have been a lot better. As I said, the first half went very hard in on the let's all just hang out and have fun, and then, you know, they would defeat an enemy at the end of the episode, like sort of like episode of the week kind of thing, where it's like we're gonna have fun and then we're gonna defeat a boss and then we're gonna have fun again together. But then around halfway through, they begin like a proper final battle and things get a lot more serious. You know, I think I liked the second half when it was more serious. There's also this pain in the ass beach episode in the first half, which was completely derailed any momentum they may have had. It was the biggest mistake the show made, in my opinion. I think a lot of people dropped it after the beach episode. But not a lot of people have seen this show, from what I've seen. It was fine. I wouldn't say go out of your way to watch it. The animation was actually kind of decent. Like, it was a lot of CG, but it worked well, you know. It wasn't meshed in horribly with 2D. It was like, where it was CG, it was consistently CG. And it looked pretty good, I thought. The planes and everything, plane battles. But yeah, it could have been better, but I actually had a lot of fun with it. I was negative on this show for a long time because of the beach episode, but then I took a step back and was like, actually, all the other episodes have been at least decent, you know. So, would I call it underrated? I don't know. I could put it this low for a reason, and that's because it wasn't executed especially well. You know, some things worked. I think if it was a bit longer, they could have had a really good show here, but like, it felt like some things were definitely crammed. Like, all the characters, like, you know, character arcs were all kind of crammed into like this 1 5-minute section at the end. It was like, boom, now she's had her resolution, now boom, she's had hers, you know, and it could have been, you know, they could have had more time on each of them, and then it would have been better. Also, the side characters, they all had really good designs, but they didn't really do anything. Like, it was just kind of like, okay, why would you go to that much effort for a character that's got like 2 seconds of screen time? Not entirely sure. But it wasn't like terrible. As I said, nothing here I would call terrible, so So that's a win, by the way. That's a win in this year. That's a win. Number 29 is Meiji Record Madoka Magica side story. Yeah, this was another one of those shows that let a lot of people down. It's nowhere near as good as the original Madoka. In fact, it feels a lot more like a plain Magical Girl series without a lot of the dark, depressing nature of original Madoka. It wasn't necessarily bad. I understand why people crapped on it, because it wasn't what they wanted or expected. In its own right, it was okay, it was... I did get into it, at some points, but I feel like a lot of its problems were... Or not necessarily its problems, but I think it's a problem that a lot of the time I got really excited. It's like, I know you're from the original Madoka, you're like, I remember you from them. So, a lot of the original characters, they did grow on you after a while, but... I mean, some of them at first glance, it's like, well, you're just B-Tech Madoka, You're B-Tech, what's her name? Homura? Akemi? That's the one. After a while, though, they do start to grow on you. We've got a second season coming out whenever, so I don't know. I guess that'll finish the story, because this series ended on, the season finale didn't feel like a season finale. It felt like, yeah, we're about halfway through this story, so we gotta wrap this up soon. Presumably that's just because they wanted the mobile game to catch up before they finished animating it, so that they could, get as much money out of people as possible, which, hey, it's a business, makes sense. I don't really remember much else about this show. It was January, so that was a while ago, but, there was a baby Kyubey at one point. I should probably, again, say what it's about. It's a spin-off of Madoka Magica, but it doesn't focus on the characters from that show. They're in it, but they're not the focus. Instead, this magical girl called Iroha is looking for a missing sister, and they go to this city where all the magical girls are gathering. I forget the name of the city, it's been a while. But they all go there, and then they fight some more enemies. I don't even think they were called witches. They got like a different enemy to fight as well. As well as, there's a cult involved, I remember. Other magical girls that are not on their side, magical girls that are on their side. Again, it's based on a mobile gacha game. There's a lot of magical girls because they want you to spend your money to, get the one you want. And the one you want in a swimsuit. That's how this works. And yeah, these mobile game anime typically are just ads for the mobile game to make you spend money. But hey, at least they're finishing the story in this one at some point, whenever that may be. They haven't actually said, I don't think, so... We'll have to wait and see. Number 28 is Food Wars, The Fifth Plate. Oh my god. Okay, so this season was really bad. People said that the quality was declining with every season, and I sort of agree, but I enjoyed everything pre-season 5, Season 4, I feel like you had a little bit more to the ending, you could have ended it there. Season 5, it's not even just that it felt unnecessary, it was stupid, right? They had this dude who, by touching a knife, he got all the powers of the chef that used it, despite that making no logical sense whatsoever. And you could say, oh, well, it's a shonen, it doesn't have to make sense. No, it has to make some sense within its world. The dude, the most outlandish thing before this season was the guy who could, copy people perfectly. That absurd right there, just touching the knife gives you the power. And then also there was this girl who made this little cake with explosives, a sledgehammer and a chainsaw, and I'm just sitting there no, that's not how that works. I'm crapping on it a lot, because the majority of this season I hated. The actual ending section I didn't entirely dislike, the final 2 rounds of the tournament. It's like a tournament arc, by the way, another one. That's pretty much what the whole season was. But yeah, wasn't too much of a fan of this season. I don't have much to add. You probably know what Food Wars is, or at least what it's about. They go to food school this last season. There's a final tournament arc. And then it ends. This is the final season. And, that I think counts for something. I did enjoy it towards the end, because I don't think the end was too bad. It was just that, there was a good 10 episode stretch in the middle where I was just like, oh my god, kill me, Wasn't good. Did not enjoy it. Glad you enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it. And the ending was alright though, so I guess that's fine. Number 27 is No Guns Life Part 2. So continuing on from Part 1, if you don't know what No Guns Life is, it's about this dude has a gun for a head. And I don't really need to say much about it, more than that. But no, I did enjoy this. It's about the world building I thought in this show was really good and kind of underrated. Like everything, the way everything was set up, how the extends, as they're called, the people that are, you know, modified bodies, how they came to be and everything. We learn more about the main character Juzo's backstory in this season. It did sort of fall apart towards the end. I remember there being this weird CG fight that just didn't look very good at all. Like, I'm not one of those people that automatically craps on the use of CG, but when it's bad, it's bad. You know, you just gotta say it's bad, and it was bad. It also had this weird ending, like the ending credits was all CG, and there was twerking, and it was just really weird, and I don't understand it. And to this day, I don't understand it. But the actual show itself, I thought, was fine. I've had similar problems I had with the first season, where the story and everything I thought was really interesting, and like the world and all that. But the way everything was animated, like, it came across as really lazily animated. You know, you had a lot of characters where, because of how their body worked, they when they spoke, they just went like this, and the words would come out. They didn't need to like animate the mouths and everything. There was a lot of still panning shots, you know. It's Madhouse, I think, and a lot of people really like Madhouse, and I don't really get it. I don't really get the appeal of Madhouse, you know. I'm not gonna say they're terrible, because they're not, but you know, I don't get all the hype about them. I'm just like, oh, okay, it's fine, I guess, you know. They're not one of the ones that I get super excited when I see. But No Guns Life Part 2 was fine. It's a part 2. They call it season 2. It's a part 2, you know. It's a continuation. This did also get delayed, I think, before it started airing, which, you know, is fair enough, considering around that time everything got delayed because of the pandemic, obviously. But it was a fine show on its own. I'm trying to remember more of the stuff that happened in this season specifically, but this is one of them shows where both seasons kind of mesh in my brain, and I don't really remember the difference. I remember enjoying it though, so there's that. I remember the interesting world building. It's kind of ruined by the bad CG fight at the end. You know, it kind of crapped the bed at the last possible hurdle, which is not great. Number 26 is Burn the Witch. Now, I wasn't sure if I should include Burn the Witch, because I read that it was released as a movie in Japan. However, on Crunchyroll, which is where I watched it, it was released as 3 separate episodes, and I was like, well, I mean, it's released kind of as a series, but I decided to include it because otherwise, you know, it'd be 34, and 35's a nicer number to have than 34, I'm sure you'll agree. But Burn the Witch is from the creator of Bleach, and as it turns out is in the same universe as Bleach. I've never seen Bleach in my life, so I enjoyed this, you know, decently enough. It's set in London, which is always fun, because if you can't tell from my very posh accent, I am from the Britain, not London, but I'm not going to tell you where I'm from, that'd be bad. It was pretty fun. It was very well animated, I remember, but it did feel like the start of a story, maybe like a prologue. At points it felt like they'd been dropped in halfway through. I was able to follow it well enough. But yeah, there's these 2 witches, and they sort of solve magic problems. And they help this dumb idiot guy. I forget his name, but he was just kept getting into trouble. There's a dragon at one point, I remember. Honestly, I can't remember much about this show, but I remember the animation looking really nice. So it was good. I remember enjoying it though, because it's like 3 episodes. That's like an hour. You know, it's whatever. I can, even if the show's terrible, if it's an hour, I can sit through it. But this was not. I hope they make more of this. I hope they make more of this, but they don't tie it into Bleach too much, because otherwise I need to watch Bleach. And Bleach is like 300 something episodes, and I don't have that kind of time. So I'd like them to make more. I think I read somewhere the manga is being released like seasonally. So like this covered like season 1 of the Burn the Witch manga, and then we're going to get like, in a few months I guess, Burn the Witch season 2 manga, which basically, you know how anime is seasonal? It's going to be like, it's like manga is seasonal as well, I guess, which interesting way of doing it, you know. The show itself, I thought it was fine. I'd like to see more. Number 25 is BNA Brand New Animal. Now, this show is part 2 in Netflix's furry domination quest, you know, with Beastars and now Brand New Animal. And I was really let down by this, you know. It's Studio Trigger, and, you know, that comes with a certain, you know, you want a certain thing from it, and unless it's Darling in the Franxx, but we'll forget about that. BNA Brand New Animal, it had some really good ideas. Like, some of the ideas in this show were, like, great. But I've come to the conclusion that Trigger can't make good 12-episode anime, because all the good Trigger anime that I can think of are, like, 24 episodes. Like, except Darling in the Franxx. I don't even hate Darling in the Franxx. I know I'm completely crapping on it. But yeah, people are going to be like, well, what about this Trigger show? Like, I'm talking really good, you know. People are, again, going to point things out to me that I've not seen, in which case, fair enough. But I'm saying recently, being a brand new animal spends most of its runtime introducing the world and all these characters and everything. And so the actual plot gets shunted to the very... It's sort of like The Day I Became a God, but again, not as bad. Like, the actual plot part gets shunted into like 3 or 4 episodes, which is fine, I guess, but no, it's not really, is it? It was another case of a fine show. I remember watching it, I was like, I was really trying to like it more than I was. Again, what's the show about? It's about this raccoon girl. Was she? I think she was a raccoon. Or a tanuki. She might have been a tanuki, actually. I think she was. She looked a bit like Mario when he gets the tanuki suit. Tanuki girl, but she used to be human. And then there's a city where the animal people live, the beastmen, called Anima, I think. Anima City. So she goes to live there, but the humans are all assholes towards the Anima, except a few. And then, you know, they're trying to build like peaceful relations between the humans and the beastmen. That's why they've built this city. So they can learn, beastmen can learn to live without causing trouble, basically, so they'll be able to integrate into society. And that's just world building, basically. The show instead follows this girl, Michiru, I think her name is, and she's trying to figure out, because she used to be human, why she suddenly got turned into a beastman, because that's not how it works. You're born a beastman or you're born a human, but she is born a human and now is now a beastman. So she's trying to figure out exactly what it is. We meet a bunch of other characters. Animation's on point, as Trigger tends to be. But yeah, she does that, and then there's also like probably uncovering great plots or something. I finished it, but I don't want to spoil really. It was fine. There's also this investigator guy, he's a wolf. He's there, and he hates all humans. You grr. So I was underwhelmed by it. You know, I can't explain what it is. It felt like if they had more time to explore a lot of these ideas they brought up, you can make a pretty goddamn decent show. But it just ended up being, all right, you know, it's not terrible, it's fine. That's kind of how I felt about it towards the end. A lot of similar things in the middle, but that's why it's the middle, because they all left me with a similar feeling. Number 24 is Isekai Quartet Season 2. Forgot this was this year. A continuation of the first season, except it's added the Shield Hero crew, the Shield Squad. Isekai Quartet, in case you aren't aware, is a big old chibi crossover of a bunch of Isekai series. They are Konosuba, ReZero, Overlord, and Yojo Senki, Saga Tanya the Evil. And they just hang out and have fun in a school with no, like, it's good because it's like, so most of the time completely different from the regular shows, right? Remember we had ReZero this year too, where it was like, okay, suffering, and then you see them in this and they're just having a great old time. It's a nice palate cleanser. It's this low mainly because it's fun. You know, it's fun, but it's nothing substantial. I'd like them to keep making this show for a long time. I have a lot of fun with it, but I can't really, in good faith, put it higher than a lot of these shows. They make me feel hyped or, you know, emotional or whatever. But it is a good fun. I'm actually thinking about it. This might be too low, but hey, I'm making the video now, so hey, whatevs. It is fun. It is a lot of fun. Isekai Quartet. As I said, they added the Shield Hero in this one, and I believe, if I remember right, this is the season they added Cautious Hero in as a cameo as well. So yeah, they've got season 3 coming out at some point, which I'm very excited for, because it's just a fun watch. You know, it's just fun. It doesn't really have a plot. I mean, the plot is they try and figure out how to get home, or, you know, they just hang out until they get told they might be able to go home. But it's cool just seeing all the characters interact. That's the thing this season did more than the first season, is the characters interacted more with each other's casts. Like in the first season, like each of the groups sort of, like, you know, the Shield Hero, not the Shield Hero, they weren't in it. The, you know, Konosuba lot would all stay together. The ReZero lot would all stay together. In this season, they spread out more. You'd see more of them. Like, I think there's a scene where it's like Naofumi, Shoutier, and like Rem and Wiz were like hanging out in the nurse's office. Not hanging out, but they were all in the nurse's office just talking. And, you know, it's just stuff like that where it's like really weird combinations. Really good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. A lot of fun, and I cannot wait to see more. Which series are they going to add next? Are they going to add? My guess is on my bet for what season they're going to what series they're going to add into season 3 is Log Horizon. Let me know your bets as well. It's always fun like that. Number 23 is Gleipnir. I think that's how you pronounce it, Gleipnir. This was a weird show, this one. It was basically kind of like this dude who is kind of a wuss, but he can turn into this giant mascot costume because for some reason, I mean, we find out the reason, but it might be a spoiler, so I don't really want to say it. And then he meets this girl who is kind of crazy. He saves her from a fire because she's trying to kill herself, if I remember right. He saves her from a fire, and then they're like, you know, we're bonded together now. And she like climbs inside the mascot suit, and it's all slimy, and she gets naked a lot. You're probably wondering how this got so high, because for some reason there was something enthralling about this show. Like, it was really like trashy at points and really weird. Like, these mascot suits were fighting other people that could transform into weird monsters too. It was very strange, very odd. A lot of underwear. A lot of people had very frilly underwear. But there was something about it that it was unique. You know, it was fun. It was a fun premise. There was an alien at one point, I remember. It feels like they just threw a lot of things, so I had a lot of fun watching this. Not for everyone. A lot of people are going to take a look at it and think, this is way too stupid. Another thing I do remember is the fight choreography was like really good. Like, all the punches felt like they had some weight behind them. I forget which studio animated this, but they did a good job with that at least. Yeah, a lot of fun, Gleipnir. Gleipnir was surprisingly fun. I remember the thing going in thinking, this is going to be really bad, and it wasn't really bad. It was just it was alright. I had an alright time with this, you know. It was fun. I got into the plot, not enough to read the manga, but there were points where it was like, damn, you know, trying to figure out. They sort of play it kind of as a mystery as to what exactly is going on, because they don't tell you stuff, and then when it comes to it later on, it's like, you know, I see now. You give me clues throughout the way while also showing me underwear to distract me. I see what you've done there. Yeah, no, Gleipnir was fun. Definitely not for everyone, but it was fun if you can stomach frilly underwear, I guess. I keep pointing that out. That's not a key part of the show, but it's something I remember very vividly. Number 22 is Inspector. Now, Inspector, I'm glad it got there. The back end, not even the back end, like the first couple episodes of Inspector were so dull and so boring. But when it got going, I got really into it, figuring out this mystery, or not even figuring out the mystery, figuring out how they were going to solve this thing, because it's sort of like a reverse detective show. Like, they figured out the truth, but the truth they have doesn't match out with what they want, so they gotta like lie. It's kind of like it's very interesting way of doing it. Did it take too long? Yes. Like, there's like 3 whole episodes that are the final battle, except the final battle is not really a fight. They're just trying to convince the internet of a certain thing. And if you've been on the internet for any amount of time, yeah, you know that trying to get a whole group of people to agree to something isn't going to work too well. It was fine, I thought, though. I think I remember I watched this show just because I liked the main girl's design. Like, I thought, damn, she looks good. It's good design. But no, it was interesting. As I said, though, the first couple episodes, 2 or 3, I forget exactly how many, but I remember being so bored. I remember they talked for a whole episode, and I was like, oh no, I've made a mistake here. This show isn't at all what I thought it would be. But no, it got to it. There is a second season announced, I think, for this show, so we'll have to see how this pans out. I remember the second half with the big not even the second half, because basically how it worked was the first few episodes were like their own individual stories, and then you spent like 10 episodes on this big long arc, which arguably would be a bit too long, I think, but for the most part, it worked pretty well for me. I had fun. By the end of it, I felt satisfied. I was like, yeah, that was alright, despite how negative I was at the start. So we'll have to see what season 2 brings. I'm pretty excited. Not excited's the wrong word. I'll watch it, you know. I'm interested to see how it'll go. What this show is about, I keep forgetting to say this. There's this girl who is contracted, I guess, by yokai. She's like their guardian or something. If they got a problem, they come ask her for stuff. And she likes this dude, but this dude, you know, the yokai are all scared of this dude for some reason. I'm not going to say. But yeah, so then they work together to solve the yokai's problem, basically. But as I said, they spent a lot of time in this season just doing one specific arc. So I think in total this season they solved like 4 problems. So hey, it's a win. One of them was a really big problem, alright. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes next for this one. Number 21 is The Irregular at Magic High School Visitor Arc. Now, this is the second season of Irregular at Magic High School. This series as a whole, just the whole series, is like the most consistent series I can think of. Like, for me, there's not much difference between the first season, the movie, and season 2 in terms of quality. They're all around the same. Season 2, I remember I saw a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't like it as much as the first. A lot of that I want to say is because it's been 5 years and people's tastes have changed. For me personally, having just watched the first season, I didn't notice any like substantial difference in how things worked out. I don't really have much to say on it, honestly. It was just fine. Irregular Magic High School is a show that I consistently say is like, yeah, I'm enjoying this, but I have no drive to ever like see it. I can never see it rising above where it is. In my opinion, if you love the show, that's fair enough. It's one of them shows that very rarely I look at it and think, I think I'd really enjoy this if I was reading it, you know? I'm enjoying this well enough watching it, but I think how they explain everything. This show obviously continues the trend of whenever something needs explaining, they're like, oh man, what does that do? And then Tati just shows up like, well, I think I know, I can tell you exactly how that goes because I know everything. That's the thing I think a lot of people get turned off about the show is Tatsuya is just too smart. He knows everything. I don't mind. This season, let's probably talk about, introduces my new best girl, Lena. She's cool, she's blonde, and I don't usually go for the blondes, but she is my new best girl. They deal with some terrorists, as they often do. It's very, like I said, if you've seen the first season, you kind of know what to expect from the second season. It's the same sort of thing. Every so often, Tatsuya will go on a little ramble about magic things. I enjoyed it though. You know, for me, it's really weird because there's something coming up way later that people are going to get on my case for. I know, but yeah, for me, this is absolutely just, yeah, this is good. But I don't have much else to add to it, so I shan't. I guess we'll just move on. Number 20 is Tonikawa, Over the Moon for You. Now, I kind of wanted to put this higher, but I liked the other stuff I put higher more. Because, I mean, Tonikawa, I think I enjoyed this, but I don't think I was the target audience. Like, it's just wholesome fun. If you've seen this show, you know what I'm on about. It's basically dude gets saved by a girl from getting a car accident, you know. And then he's like, she's like, can I go out with you? And she's like, yeah, marry me. And he's like, okay. And then they get married a bit later on. And it's just them enjoying newlywed life. And it's just wholesome. There's not really a plot. The plot is like, oh man, what's for dinner? You know, it's fun. It's nice. It's cool. But again, it's another one of them where I'm like, I came out of it and I was just like, yeah, okay, that was good. You know, I don't have much to add about it. They had some fun parts. There's a part where they play Street Fighter and it's like actual Street Fighter. Like it's like they're just recorded actual footage of Street Fighter. That was pretty fun. Everyone kind of played their roles, all the cast. But obviously the main two are the highlight here. There's a lot of references I remember to other anime, other movies. That was kind of fun. Every time one popped up that I recognised, I was like, hang on a minute, that's Danganronpa. Hang on a minute, that's Jurassic Park or something. You know, it would always get me. I'm like, I see, because like the girl is like a movie buff or something. I remember right. It was a good fun time. I'm surprised we didn't get a second season announced. Like this seems like the kind of show they would keep making seasons for. They did announce an OVA though, so there is more coming next year or this year. I don't know when this is going out. 2021. So it's very wholesome, this show. Very fun indeed. Number 19 is surprisingly high when I went through this actually. Princess Connect Redive. Now this is another game, another anime based on a mobile gacha game, but this one it's got waifus in it. No, I'm joking. The other one was Meiji Record. That did too. This one though is interesting because I mean it's very similar. I mean if you've seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very similar to Konosuba, and I love Konosuba to death. And for this to be not quite as good Konosuba, that's still pretty damn enjoyable. Reason for that is probably because it's the same director. If you weren't aware, like the person who directed Princess Connect is the same director as Konosuba. Thematically, they are very similar. This one is also getting a second season at some point, and also the mobile game is coming out in English soon. So things going up Princess Connect. basically, it's as I said, very similar to Konosuba. It's a group of party of 4. They have a guild where they want to eat food, and that's it. So they take on quests to eat food. A lot of shenanigans happen. Most of their quests are not like super serious fighting quests. It's mostly shenanigans. Like there's a part where they go to like a doctor's clinic and there's like a yandere there and a creepy experiment. Like wacky out there characters that you'd expect, as opposed to just like, you know, typical isekai where it's like, I don't remember if this was an isekai. I can't actually remember if, I don't think it was, but whatever. You know, they're not doing serious fighting. It's mostly comedy, you know, and it works a lot of the time. As I said, not quite as good as Konosuba. I'm just gonna put that out there, and it kind of hurts to compare it to it because, you know, it doesn't stack up a lot of the time, but it's still damn enjoyable in its own right. So I'm looking forward to the second season, whenever that may be. I think they said it this year. I can't remember, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I enjoyed it. Number 18 is Higurashi When They Cry. Go. Now, I really struggled with where to put this one. I really struggled. At first it was a lot higher, and then I moved it to a lot lower. So I put it somewhere in the almost middle because I really, I still don't know how to think about it. In case you aren't familiar with the story regarding this season, I guess, of Higurashi. So it was marketed as a remake of the original series, okay? It was called Higurashi When They Cry New. So like, new as in new season, new series. New version, I should say. And then, like, I think it was like episode 2 or 3. They were like, "Psych! It's actually not a it's not a remake. It's a sequel." And me, I went and watched the original after that because everyone was telling me it was a sequel, right? So then I come back, and at what point we are now, it's definitely a sequel, and it's kind of still a remake, if that makes any sense, because the arcs are based on the original, but they don't follow the exact same formula as the original. It doesn't follow it to a T. It's kind of condensed, and then the ending's slightly different, is how I'd explain it. Which is very weird way of doing it. Well, I should probably say what Higurashi's about, actually, in case you aren't familiar. Basically, dude moves to a new town, and there's weird stuff going on, and eventually a lot of people end up getting, you know, it looks very moe, but it's not. It's actually death and destruction all over the place. This season, as I said, it's struggled a lot with whether it wants to be a sequel or a remake, because I feel like if they'd gone straight up sequel and just not tried to recreate a lot of the old elements, it would have been a lot better. However, the remake stuff comes into play, because it's like, oh, you think you know where it's going, but then they change the ending on you. That works for the first arc. I feel like after that they should have gone a bit different, right? Because I don't know, it's one that really struggles with what it's really painted itself into a corner with its marketing as a remake, and it's weird. It looks like from the second half, first half's finished, the second half that's coming out, you know, second core, I guess. It looks like it might start going more original from here, so my opinion may change drastically. But for right now, it's fine. You know, it's not as good as the original, but I am intrigued to see why these different things keep happening to the original. Like, what is the cause of it? I am intrigued to see that. So yeah, we'll put a pin in this one. It may change drastically, but obviously I can't do nothing about that for right now. Number 17 is Kakushigoto. This show was surprising. I almost didn't watch this show. In fact, I only watched this show because a bunch of the stuff I was going to watch and review on the review channel was delayed. I think it was like Thursday, and I think like Origairu and No Guns Life both got delayed, and I was like, crap, I don't have anything to watch. So I picked Kakushigoto because it's the only thing that was on, and this was surprisingly good. What this is about, it's about this guy who's a manga artist. He draws a lewd manga, but he doesn't want his daughter to find out he's a manga artist and draws a lewd manga, so he pretends he's like a businessman, you know, and it gets everyone in on trying to hide this fact from his daughter. Except that's not the whole story. So this show kind of takes place in 2 time periods. You've got the past, where it's just family fun times and having good times with the daughter and letting her not find out you're a manga artist. And in the future, you focus on the daughter, and it's all very kind of morbid, very, I don't want to say dark, but it's like she's trying to figure out, it's her discovering, you know, her dad's old manga things, going to the old house and finding secrets about her dad, And the way they frame it just as if like, okay, something's happened to the dad here. What's happened? And it's very interesting. That's the bit I think that kept me watching, kept me engaged, was the future stuff and not knowing exactly how it was going to play out until you get to the end. And it's really worth it at the end, I would say. Like, the final episode actually got some feels out of me, and it was good. I enjoyed this surprising amount. I think a lot of people might have overlooked this one, and it's one of the things I would definitely recommend if you're into that. If you're just a shonen fan, yeah, you're probably not going to get much out of this. But for me, I thought it was terrifically underrated. I had a lot of fun with it. We're only on, like, as I said, I enjoyed most stuff this year, and we're only on, like, what, 16, 17? What number are we on? I've forgotten. And I'm already being very, very positive. So that's a good sign if you like positivity. Number 16 is Talentless Nana. Now, this was a surprise. This was a real surprise. I guess we should probably... I'll talk about what people's problems are, a lot of people's big problems are with this show before I really explain it, to give people time to, you know, not... This one has spoilers in it. Like, I would honestly recommend watching the first episode to this before listening to me explain it, because the first episode is good. I'll talk about people's problems with this show are basically because a lot of the time they find the characters to make dumb decisions, and I kind of do agree. At times, the characters are a bit stupid. I will not deny that. However, for me, it didn't take away from the show. It was just a bit like, okay, is it because they're overconfident? Some of them, a lot of the characters were idiots, you know? They just were, you know? I don't know how else to say it. Now, what this show's about, just, again, watch the first episode, because there's a twist. And what that twist is, I'm about to say, is, so the first episode played out, they're at a school and they've got superpowers, and, you know, they're being trained to fight the enemies of humanity, right? And I know what you're thinking, you're sitting there like, hang on a minute, son. Isn't that just My Hero Academia? Yes, you're right, it is. But, twist, right? Turns out, Nana, the girl, pink hair, she's pretty cool, she has actually not got any powers whatsoever, and is instead an assassin sent there by the government to kill all the superpowered kids. Turns out the enemies of humanity are the superpowered kids, and they've all been gathered in one place so they can be killed. And yeah, the show instead focuses on Nana as she goes around killing the kids, and it gets really good. Later on, it focuses more on her, like, her mental state, how she got to be how she is. The side cast are good, even if at first they are just like, as I said, they just look like My Hero Academia clones. And honestly, that's gotta be deliberate, right? They had to do that just to get people off guard. And it worked. I had a lot of fun with Talentless Nana. The ending is like the most... It's abrupt, but it's abrupt in a good way, you know? It's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens next. It's the type of ending that will get people to start reading the manga, like me. I actually absolutely plan on reading the manga now because of how the anime ended. They got me good. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more than just the My Hero Academia clone. It's one of the ones that I was very surprised about. And yeah, people will say like, what it kind of boils down to is a lot of it is it's like cat and mouse, like how she's trying to kill people, but then there's this dude that's onto her, so she can't be too overt, otherwise this dude will expose her, and it's pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it, but as I said, a lot of people thought that the characters were too stupid, and a lot of them were, and I'm going to be, that is completely honest. Your enjoyment may depend how much you could overlook the stupidity of a lot of people, but yeah, I still thought it was very good. Number 15 is Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. This was surprisingly entertaining. It's like a VR game. She goes in, but she's like, I don't want to get hurt, right? So she just puts all her stat points into defense and creates like the most busted character in the game. She accidentally gets a bunch of like OP abilities, and I do mean accidentally. So she just becomes ridiculously OP. But it's like, it's not played as like a Overlord or a Sword Art Online where it's like super serious. Like everything, it's just a game, right? They are just playing a game. It's not serious. It's serious in the stage like, oh, we have to win this tournament. But it's not, you know, a lot of shows are like, my whole life depends on me winning this fictional virtual tournament. And it's like, no, we're just gonna have fun wrecking you as like a demon or something. It's very fun. I don't have much else to add on it. Surprisingly well animated, I remember. watching the animation. I'm like, why is it, okay, seriously, why does this look so good? I looked at the studio, I was like, Silverlink, they don't make especially well animated stuff generally. That's not a slate, because this was really good, I thought. Surprisingly good. It's another one where there's a second season on the way, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. I'm glad they had a break between the seasons, though. I don't think this is one of them shows that would get old. I think it was one of them shows that would get old, after, if you went at it for too long in a row. I think that's why I think me watching it weekly helped. I'm sure if you binged it, you would probably have to take breaks, because a lot of it is just moe gag humor, except she's an OP shield girl. But it's still a lot of fun. I had a very much a lot of fun watching it. It was surprisingly fun. I don't have much bad to say about it. If you're not into that kind of show, you're probably not going to be into this either. But I will watch goddamn anything, it turns out. So there. Number 14 is Tower of God. Now, I know some people are going to be not upset, annoyed I put this relatively high, because I've seen a lot of people crapping on it online. I don't really understand it. Is the webtoon better? Yes. However, if I hadn't watched the anime, I would have not read the webtoon. I wouldn't have any idea about it. So I feel like, as you know, that has got, it's done that at least. It's definitely, it's definitely got people into the webtoon. On its own, I still think it was alright. I don't think it was terrible. I think people were like, oh my god, it's atrocious. Was it just shonen fodder? That's too harsh a word, but you know what I mean? Yeah, it was. It was just a bog standard shonen, is what it came across as. But it was still a lot of fun. It's the prologue of the story, in case you're unaware. You should probably say what it's about. This dude climbs a tower because he's simping for a girl called Rachel. There's the plot. There's the plot outline. There's a lot more to it than that, but basic plot, that's what it is. It's very interesting, like world building. A lot of the characters come across as very likable indeed. I liked Endorsi, she was cool. Kun was obviously cool. Rak, everyone liked Rak. Yeah, a lot of likable characters. I would say this show, I don't want to say it got ruined for me, but the webtoon fans, oh my god. Yeah, we know, you hate that girl. Don't put it. If you say you hate her, and there's 52 of you saying you hate her, you're going to spoil it. Even if you don't say what happens. That's just common sense. But yeah, no, I still enjoyed it. Despite that, I just kind of ignored a lot of the comments. A lot of comments on like, just don't read them. Just don't read them. Just watch the show and click off. That's the best way to watch every show, because comments ruin everything. Not you guys. No, you guys. You guys are great. But yeah, Tower of God. Not as good as I think people hyped it up to be, because it never is. But still a lot of fun. Still a lot of fun in its own right. Number 13 is My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. So this show surprised me. I was expecting a reverse harem, and I didn't get that. I got just, screw it, love knows no gender harem, everybody jump in. It was a nice flip, nice change on the harem genre. It came across as very nice, or harem, I say harem. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. I liked, again, this is another, much like every other harem show, main character is dense as hell, but that's to be expected at this point, it's kind of be expected. I guess it's technically an isekai as well. Didn't even think about that till now. What it's about, girl gets memories of her previous life, which is where she was on Earth, figures out she's been reincarnated in an otome game that she used to play. If you aren't familiar, an otome game is like a dating sim, but you play as the girl and you date the guys. That's what I can get from it, at least. So yeah, but she realised she's the villain character, and so to avoid getting a bad ending for herself, she just does things to. That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to avoid a bad ending for herself, and ends up getting a harem in the process. It's very fun. I had a lot of fun with this. Time flew by while I was watching it. I don't really have much else to say. It was very, very fun, and nice, refreshing take on the harem genre. It never got like super ecchi either. Like a lot of harems get to that ecchi stage. I don't know if it's just because it was, there was guys and girls in it, but it was just kind of I don't want to say wholesome. Is wholesome the right word? There wasn't a lot of whole etchiness. In fact, I can't remember any instance where it got ecchi. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this. This one's also got a second season and an otome game coming out soon, which is funny that the anime based on the light novel based on Otome game is getting an Otome game itself. It's crazy. Second season also. The first season sort of ends. I'm not actually, I can't say that, can I? That's a spoiler. But you know, it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this one. Speaking of having a lot of fun, number 12 is the Misfit of Demon King Academy. This one was insanity because it was so fun. It shouldn't have been as good as it was, and by good I mean like as fun. I know how you can say technically it wasn't that good. Whatever, shut up, my opinion. This one is basically Demon Lord gets reincarnated many years later, and then goes to demon school, and that's basically it. Except of course he's OP. You might have seen the clip where his heartbeat kills a guy. Like, yeah, it's One Punch Man levels of absurd overpoweredness, and it's very fun. And kind of how OP, like he like, you know, like basketball players when they spin the basketball on their finger. He does that with a castle. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I actually like there's a twist right at the end, like a late game twist that I really liked and genuinely caught me a bit off guard because they like baited me with an earlier thing. I really liked it, you know. I think this is one of them shows that doesn't need another season. I think like it started and wrapped up everything it set out to inside its 13 episodes, I think it was. And it was pretty damn enjoyable throughout. Most of the cast, they were just fine, you know, they were fine, but that's not the point. The point is it's the overpowered showcase. Every so often you need an OP main character that's so past the limit, you know, so overpowered that it's hilarious, you know. There's overpowered, like, a Kirito level, where it's like, he might look like he's struggling, but he's gonna win. And then there's, like, this level, Anos, where it's like, he's never in any danger whatsoever. Like, he has some great lines like, did you think I'd die just because you killed me? Like, that's the kind of level of overpowered we're talking about here. Really fun. This is definitely a definition of one that is, this is fun over, like, you know, oh, I'm going to analyse this deeply. No, I'm just having a great old time. That's what this one was. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun indeed. Number 11, surprisingly high considering where the first season ended up last year, is Fire Force Season 2. Is it just me who thought this season was so much better than the first season? Or first thing, they had less of the Tamaki fan service, which is super annoying. Fire Force, they stop fire monsters. That's the plot. With fire powers. Second season had a lot less of the Tamaki fan service. If you run away, what that means is a character called Tamaki whose clothes just fall off at random parts. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. This season, when they did have it, it was generally pretty well timed, and towards the end, they look like they're going to do more with her, which is good because, you know, make her good for once. This season also, I just really enjoyed it. I don't know what it is. It is still just shonen. You know, it's just a half-decent shonen. But this season seemed to move things along quite a long way. A lot of more epic fights. First season, I feel like they spent a lot of time doing stuff that I really didn't care about. This season, I can't think of a single arc I actively disliked. I felt cheated at one point because, you know, in the opening there was a fight scene, but then they didn't actually fight when they got there, and it was just a bit like, you baited me here, what have you done? But yeah, no Season 3 announced, but I think I looked it up and I think the manga's not far enough yet, so we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to seeing if this one finishes. I hope it does, because I really enjoyed Fire Force Season 2. Surprisingly so. The side characters still do feel like an afterthought, but at this point the plot's gotten interesting and the action's pretty cool too, so at this point I'll take that as a win. Finally into the top 10, and this number 10 is absolutely, it's one of them where it's not, it's not about how analytically good it is. This one was just the funnest show to talk about. It's Rent a Girlfriend, right? Now I know what you're thinking, what the hell is wrong with you putting this so high? And I think that too, but it was just the most fun to talk about because it was so god annoying, right? The main character, he just went out of his way. What this show's about, I should probably explain in case you aren't aware. So the main character gets dumped, and then he decides to rent a girlfriend, and then, you know, things spiral out of control from there, and it's just the most crazy time. I haven't had so much fun talking about a show since Domestic Girlfriend. Like, Rent a Girlfriend is so fun to talk about. Everyone has their best girls, and it's Sumi. It's Sumi, by the way. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Not Mami though. Every choice is great except for Mami. But yeah, no, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of people are going to just crap on it because they're not into this kind of show. I don't care. It's a train wreck, but it's meant to be a train wreck. Like, this guy's life is falling apart and he's just making so many bad decisions that it's going to frustrate you. But that's the point, right? It's entertaining to watch this dude just ruin everything. And hopefully by the end of the series, whenever the hell that may be, he turns into a semi-respectable human being. Although I am not sure that is going to be the case. But there's a second season coming at some point, and I, for one, could not be bloody happier. It was so fun to watch. So fun to talk about with my friends, like, because genuinely we all watch different things, and like, the fact that we were all watching this Rent a Girlfriend, maybe that's it. Maybe I have a personal stake in this because I had such good fun talking to my friends about it. But hey, this is my opinion. My experiences, of course, are going to play a factor. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with Rent a Girlfriend. Let me know your favorite. In fact, let's do this. For every show that I've mentioned here that you've seen, put your best girl for it in the comments, and I will look at it and be like, damn, you like Mami-chan? What the hell's wrong with you? Those opinions are automatically bad, by the way. Just a heads up. Number 9 is Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club. I don't think I mentioned this ever, but I bloody love Love Live. Should I be? Fuck, I don't care. I'll admit it. This was a nice change of pace. The previous Love Live series kind of got some flack for being too similar to each other. This one is kind of different. So instead of a group, they are solo idols, right? So they all do sing solo songs. Also different in this one, there's like a manager character, like one that doesn't sing, but she's an important character. She's like a manager type deal. Which, you know, I appreciated the differences, but then when the plot and stuff got going, it was even more enjoyable, you know. There was a weird part towards the end where one of them basically turned into a yandere, and it's just like, what? Like, are you serious? And it was in a good way. Like, I didn't expect them to do that. It was fun, you know. Not perfect by any means. At some point, some characters really felt like they just fell to the wayside and were just kind of left there. Like, it's like that Toy Story movie. It's like, I don't want to play with you anymore, which, you know, kind of sucks. But hey, also we had like a song every episode. With like, I think out of 13 episodes, I think like 11 of them had a song. 10 or 11, I think. Which is hell. That's a high number, you know. That's a high number of songs, and for a musical type anime, that's a win, right? Normally there's only about 6 or 7, right? Not even that normally. But yeah, a lot of fun with Love Live. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that most of you even care and are going to be convinced to watch it. If you're not into that kind of show, this ain't going to change your mind probably. But if you are into that kind of show, you might appreciate the differences like I did, the small differences. There's more Love Live next year, so never ends, never ends. I read somewhere that it got like the 5th most franchise sales like this year, so yeah, that's still going strong. But now moving on, number 8 is It Wrong to Pick Up a Girls in a Dungeon Season 3 Dan Mackey 3 from here on out, because it's too long a title. Yeah, this season was a massive improvement from season 2. I think the more focused nature of it, and then like about halfway through this season as well, is where things properly kicked into gear. The first half, you could say, maybe was a bit too slow, but I still liked it. I feel like it set the stage kind of well with, you know, what's going on. What this season is about is Belle, main character, meets a monster girl in the dungeon, and she's crying, and he's like, well, I can't kill something that's crying. So he decides to take it home instead, and then they make friends with the monster girl, and then more stuff happens from there. The second half of this episode, as I said, very high on action. Last episode had one of the best fights in the series. In fact, you could say that about quite a few of the fights. They're very good. A massive improvement, as I said, I thought, from Season 2. A lot of that is honestly because they actually spent some time in the dungeon, which is, you know, it's in the title. I really enjoyed this. I'd already read the light novels previously to watching the anime, and I think the anime did a decent job of, you know, transferring that over. A lot of people, not with this, I haven't seen too much about this, but a lot of people, when stuff gets animated, obviously they're like, I can't believe they changed this. This one I was actually pleasantly surprised. I was like, yeah, that lived up to what I wanted. That was fun. And yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I hope they make more. And this is like one of my favorite series, I would say, to read at least. The anime's still good, but reading, reading it is, obviously the fact that I decided to read ahead should say how much I got engrossed in the world and stuff. And I hope they make more, because season 4 would be pretty damn good. As someone who's read ahead, season 4, it would be pretty good, it would be pretty good. So let's hope they do that. Number 7 is my teen romantic comedy Snafu Climax, the final season of Origairu. This gets so high almost entirely because of the last 2 episodes. Like, if I'm speaking objectively, this should probably be a bit lower down, because in the middle of it got a bit boring. Not super boring, I'm just going to say, but they span their wheels a little bit. And it was interesting. It was still interesting, the way they went about it. But, the ending is what we're here for. The ending was really, really good. How everything played out. I don't think I could have asked for a better ending. Like, people are going to have their nitpicks of their best girl didn't win, whatever. No, this is the way it had to be. And I was really happy. I was really happy with it. I was worried because, whenever a series ends, there's the chance it might crap the bed a little bit. This did not, so I am happy about that. I don't really have much to say. It was just a very, very solid ending to a very, very solid series. I think, if I remember right, it got to #1 trending on Twitter the day it came out, so it's the power of anime. It's the power of anime, son. So, that's good. Alright, so number 6 is the one that people are really going to get on my case about, I can tell. Number 6 is Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld Part 2. Stop. I know it's not great, like, technically right. I know there's plot holes and problems and all this and all that. You don't have to keep telling me, this is my list, okay? I love Sword Art Online. It's bias. I'll tell you, it's bias. It's absolutely biased. I've not been more hyped for a show every week than this season of Sword Art. There's massively good fights every week. Very good stuff going on. I know people are going to give me crap for this, and that's why for nothing else, the fights were really good. The animation was really good. I feel like War of Underworld as a whole has, been good because they haven't spent too much time talking about plot. They've just done loads of fights, and Part 2 continued that, The Bakuli fight was really, really good. The Eiji was there, and Asuna, the wings, and then Kirito. Everything Kirito did. I know, but I'm not going to change for you people. Never. But yeah, I enjoyed it. That's the thing. More hype than anything for Sword Art. It's bias. Is it stupid bias? Maybe. Is it crap taste? Yes, probably. But damn, did I not have a good time, and I'm excited to see whatever the hell they make next. I know they're making the movie. And I will go watch it proudly waving the Sword Art flag, and no one is going to stop me. Number 5 is the highest rated new show for me this year. Everything else after this is a sequel. And this one is ID Invaded. Now this show came the hell out of nowhere for me. I had basically no knowledge about what this was. But I watched it and it was pretty goddamn fun. So it's basically they're like a police kind of unit, detective unit. And to figure out what's going on with the crimes, they build this digital realm where they send the investigators in. And then they become the great detective. I forget exactly what it was called, but in there they, I guess, got better detective skills, and they piece together the crime and what's going on in real time because they use the particles of I think it's killing intent particles left behind. It's sci-fi, you couldn't tell, to create this digital realm, and they send them in, and they figure out what the killer is thinking, what the killer is doing now from inside this digital realm. Very, very interesting. I remember when I watched it, it's one of them shows that you absolutely have to pay attention and remember what's going on. But it was a lot of fun. It was the first half, I remember, not even the first half, a lot of it was kind of solving individual crimes, and then towards the end, it all come together for this big crime to figure out who this mastermind was. And then, all the previous crimes come together. They've all left little clues to figure out the mastermind. I had a lot of fun with this show. I like sci-fi stuff like this, and this came out of nowhere. If I remember right, there was a lot of jargon, a lot of specialized terms just for this show that you had to figure out. But I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't have much else to say. It was good. It was quite good. Number 4 is A Certain Scientific Railgun Tea. I was surprised that this got so high, but then like looking at it, I was like, no, it's got to be higher, it's got to be higher. This show is probably the one show I watched that got inflicted by the pandemic the most. Like, episodes would get delayed 2 weeks, and the whole second half got delayed like 3 months or so. And yeah, it was very, very good. I would say it's the best season of the 2 Arrow series, the A Certain series, whatever we call it. I'd say it is the best season. It's very, very good. The first arc is, I would say, better than the second arc. But the second arc, you know, they had this really good, towards the end of it, like really good like CG fight. Like, and that doesn't happen often, like giant mecha type things fighting. It was really good. The first half was really good too. A lot of big name players in the series coming together for a lot of fun. I really, again, it's another one where it's like, I really like this series, so it's like obviously it's going to get really high. Yeah, a lot of fun indeed. Best season. Better than Railgun S. Sod it. Railgun S had a crap second half. Better than Railgun S, I would say. Very, very good. Number 3 is Kaguya-sama Season 2. This episode introduced introduced Miko Ino, who starts out as like a rival character, but then she becomes actually part of the group, and she's a very fine addition to the cast. There's a worry when you introduce too many new people to a small cast that they might flow off the flow. No, she's great. This season continued the first season, very similar in quality. They're both very good. Got a bit serious at times, like with the Ishigami episode, but it was really good, so I'm not going to complain. Also gave me my new favourite ship from this show. That's of course Ishigami and Miko Ino, because they are just the best together. Don't argue with me. I don't ship often, but when I do, I ship right. No, very good. I had a lot of fun with watching this, as always. It's third season announced, which I wasn't too surprised about, but damn it, I'm very happy about it. So we'll have to see how things pan out. I feel like I've got less to say about the good stuff, like towards the end, because they're just very good. What do you want me to say? Number 2, narrowly missing out on the top spot, is Fruits Basket Season 2. I feel like Fruits Basket Season 1 was right at the top as well, but Season 2 might have been better than Season 1. Like, genuinely, a lot of interesting stuff happened with all the characters. The thing Fruits Basket's really good at is all the characters. Like, it's not just a core group that are really good and really well written. Everyone is that way. A lot of big reveals and stuff. Things seem to be progressing. The love triangle comes to an end because of mum zoning. Makes sense if you've seen the show. If you haven't, you're just gonna be like, what? Yeah, very, very, very good. Even the new characters introduced, well, at first I wasn't too fond of them. They grew on me too, and now I like them all. So, you know, this is the one show where, like, generally I hate happy endings that are too happy, because I think that's ridiculous, and, like, you know, if nothing bad happens. This is the one show I want everyone to be happy. Please. I'll give up so much if you let everyone be happy. It made me happy. Third and final season comes out 2021, so we'll have to see how things pan out, unless you've read the manga, in which case you know, and that's cheating though, so whatever. Very good indeed. What is number 1 though? You might be able to guess. Will people be annoyed with my number 1? I don't know, maybe. Let's have a look. So my number 1 is ReZero Season 2. Now, I feel like people might be upset about this. Again, this is another one of the cases of bloody bias. ReZero, bloody love it to death. Love it so much. But this season as well had flipping a lot going on. Like, I looked at all the stuff that I was like, oh yeah, that got me. The episode with his parents, that was really good. Obviously, the stuff with Rem at the beginning, you know, I'd read that bit, and even still that got me some more. Jumped you right back in, got you straight into what's going on. No rest for the weary, as they say. What else happened? There was the rabbit. There was death all around. Echidna was there. She's everyone's new favourite best girl. She was for a time before Satella showed up. Now she's everyone's best girl. Crazy Amelia was there. You know, I'm just saying these things out of context. They probably don't make sense. But a lot of stuff happened. Beatrice's tears, that got me too. Got me throughout. A lot of these higher picks are biased. I understand that. That's why you're here, for my opinion. In places I thought this was better than the first season. You know, it shows growth. Subaru is, you know, he's growing, but my question is, how can he keep growing, you know? He keeps coming to these realizations, like Arc 3 he has some, Arc 4 he's had some. But eventually, you know, he's going to reach the limit, right? You can't keep evolving him. And I feel like he's already getting to that limit, so I feel like after Season 2, you know, we've got the second half next year, soon, January actually, whenever that may be, we'll have to figure out what's next for, you know, figure out, go more focus on more characters. It's hard to say, but for right now, Season 2 of ReZero, technically just the first half, but it was that I really enjoyed it. Really was that good to me. I had a lot of fun watching it. It got proper reactions out of me. The rabbit scene, I remember, I was up out of my seat like, oh, like that. The crazy Amelia got me really uncomfortable. And then, of course, the scene with his parents brought many tears to many eyes. But that is my list for everything I watched this year, ranked from worst to best. How long have we been here? I can't read the time. We'll have to see when I edit this, I guess. But thank you, everybody, for sitting through this video. If you did enjoy it, subscribe and stuff. For more videos, this, you know, long ranking video at the end of every year, as always. I'll put more stuff up whenever it's you know, whenever it's apparent, whenever I make a video. Obviously, that makes sense. For right now, though, let me know what if you want to do your lists. Do your lists in the comments. I'd love to see what other people saw and what other people thought was really good. If there's a consensus, if there's a really good show I missed, but hey, you should watch this show. It's really good. I tried to catch up on a lot of stuff that I was interested in before the end of the year. I wanted to watch more, but I didn't have enough time, and I had to make this video. So yeah. But for right now, thank you for watching this video. Take care, everyone. Enjoy 2021 as it happens. Hopefully it's a little bit better, but you know, hopefully. Stay safe though. For right now though, see you next time. Take care and bye, guys.